Hello guys, hope everybody's having a great weekend. Just wanted to do a quick recap of the Friday's action. How the trade worked out. So brutal Friday for swings and for long-term accounts. Of course, a pretty red action, AI super weak. And but we did good. We did really good on our short setups. We had one long loser. We'll talk about it. If you really struggled on Friday, especially with your day trades, watch this video and you will learn a lot, and you will learn how to make money with the cloud system, with my teachings on a red day like this. There's a complete playlist, red day. A lot of concepts that you need to learn. By the way, it was our third Tanner 3-year anniversary. Thanks to everybody for support, those who watch my YouTube videos and those who follow me, and everybody, those in community who support us, making Tanner one of the biggest and largest successful day trading, investing and swing trading community and platform. So anyways, that being said, let's start with what the market was doing. Remember, everything you do is with a plan, so you are not surprised. You're not surprised with the sell-off, right? So let's look at the market, what the market did today, and then we'll go through in detail what SPY did. SPY, if you look closely, it was just a pop and drop day. Just a candle popping and dropping. Doesn't look that ugly if you look at that. But QQQ was pretty bad. QQQ actually broke the recent lows and broke a trend line, and it did dip it, and there was a reason. AI was super weak, and then middle of the day Jansen tweeted something, and a lot of the data center AI names sold off. So but we're going to talk about how we manage the morning first. So let's see what was our plan. This plan I tweeted free on X as well in our community. I said, careful of the chop. If VIX keeps holding 19, then we will have to be careful of a chop or a sell-off. But over 19, VIX can dump. Need 1860 to break for us to go long. Pre-market choppy, wait the amateur move. So the concepts that I teach that you can learn is 9:30 a.m. trend move concepts, amateur move concepts, 10 a.m. concept, VIX strategy. I do all these webinars. We have morning strategies, midday strategies, end of the day strategies, day 2 strategies. That is what I try to teach you. So anyways, this was the plan, right? So plan is pretty clear. Intel earnings, sold off on Intel earnings. We'll talk about Intel trade as well, successful short, but that was pulling back the market. That was pulling back the QQQs. So it was kind of a flat, actually. QQQs was kind of flat. So as soon as the market open, I see this rejection right here. You can see this. First of all, when the market did open this morning, let's take a look here. VIX, what VIX did was, so VIX was dropping, but SPY was stronger than QQQs, because VIX was kind of dropping and that pushed a little bit. But because QQQ was weak, when I saw that, I see this rejections right away. Big rejection. I told the traders, short under the pre-market lows. So where's the pre-market lows? This is your pre-market lows right here. So you short under that. QQQ, VIX SPY is most affected by VIX, but for QQQs you have to just watch the tech sector, and the whole tech sector was heavy. If you go to our Tanner research investing platform research app, you will see that there was always was heavy. Rotation tracker after first 10 minutes tells you photonics, memory, AI, CPU, TPU, space and rocket, quantum, NVIDIA suppliers, rare earth, nuclear, data center, AI ecosystem, social media favorites, AI infra, energy, robotics, automation, crypto. They were all weak. There was weak sectors. So market was heavy. So I told the traders to short and cover into 10 a.m. trend time. So you short here, we covered into this drop, almost 4 or 5 per share dollar per share, $4 or $5 per share profit on that QQQ shorts. So at that time you have to be safe, right? Because market is selling off, tech is heavy. So that makes shorts a better setup than the longs. You can't just buy the longs ignoring the market. There was definitely some relative strength in some names, because if you see that there's definitely some sectors which were strong. Dividend stocks were strong, Dow Jones was strong, shopping and retail, software, big banks, they were strong. Industrials were strong, and industrials, they were holding strength. We'll talk about IBM in a minute. But tech, which is heavily in QQQs, with NVIDIA dumps, everything dumps. So that was the week. So that was our short trade. You can see the live stamp guidance here on the short. And So at this point, the money you could make in the shorting all the AI and SAMI names, right? That's why we have our day two plan. We will talk about today's all about day two strategy. We'll talk about a few names, but I just want to show you the power of the MTF clouds here, because the why as long as the Nvidia and other names sell off, it would the QQQ would sell off as well, and you could see that Nvidia chopped and then broke the MTF clouds and dumped. But look at many of these names with the MTF cloud. Let's take a look here. You see that NBIS broke the double MTF. That was a short. You could see that CoreWeave under the MTF clouds. That was a short. And let's look here. BE under the 1 hour MTF cloud. That was a short. AOI under the MTF. Anything under the 1 hour MTF cloud, ideally you want to bearish setups, right? A lot of the stocks were gapping and crapping. AMKR, which was actually on our game plan. If you look at AMKR, we had a game plan that we will only long if it holds 50-55 MTF, but it broke the 50-50 MTF. It becomes a short right away. Right away you hit the short because it's right on that 50-50 MTF cloud, and you take that dump, right? So mostly all the AI names, they were pretty heavy. I gave the AMD short to the traders, so that was MTF to the MTF magnet short. So first you decide the trend. What I'm going to do, okay, trend is bearish, market is bearish, SAM is bearish, I want to short. What do I want to short? Whatever is my top focus. I want to short AMD. AMD had upgrades but didn't do anything because AMD is MTF clouds. I want to short right here, put stops here. So you see everything was flushing, or you could just short QQQs, or you can trade leverage ETFs, but you make your profit that way. This is our 9:30 to 10 a.m. short setups, right? So that's our 9:30 to 10 a.m. short setups. And let's see here. I just want to show you something here. We'll go to the other detailed shorts in a bit, but you can see that when I told the traders right here to short under the pre-market lows, and you see that how we traded the short. I was also on the voice. I told the traders same thing on the voice. All right, so let's look at a couple of the long setups we did, right? So IBM, so you see IBM was strong today. And what I did was, even in our Tenet research, I tweeted about it as well. Even in our let's see here if I can show you there, in our Tenet research platform, we were also adding it for a swing trade. So I posted this chart this morning on IBM. So I said that on the IBM, you look for this long. Watch the gap holds for the MTF push, right? And that was our day two plan as well. Everything is a plan. Number one setup on a day two plan, IBM. Trade versus 1 hour MTF, bullish bias to long. Why did I put it on number one? Because I had seen the daily chart, what the daily chart was doing. You can follow the Tenet charts channel. You can follow those charts. So I don't do hindsight. I try to give the setups to my free followers or my community pre-hand. So you see that I mentioned that encouraging action post earnings versus 119.995, setting up for a reversal long. If semis bounces, it will be good, but it moved regardless of semis, right? So this was the setup I gave. You can see weekly support, curling here. So this was the setup I gave before the move yesterday. And this morning, I put it on a day one, number one, day two setup to long right here over the 1 hour MTF cloud. So as soon as it did that, I right away also told my traders that I did IBM. You can see 934 timestamp there. 207s was my entry. Some of my traders had a better entry, so that was our swing trade, what we added. But also in the community, I mentioned IBM, watch pullbacks for long, right? And 212 and 214 targets. You see, I alerted my community there as well. So from that long, you got to pull back to 208 and you'll take it all the way to 216. So we were barely risking right under this right under this MTF clouds. Even if you're late, let's say you're 209, your stops are 207, you're still making $7. Risking $2, making $7. And if you try to lose $1,000 per trade, you still made $3,000 on this trade. So you could trade options as well. Doesn't really matter. If you wanted to trade the lot of options, you could do that. You could trade 210 calls which went from $4 to $8, little 100% there. So that's how you find opportunities, right? You need to see the charts, right? And that's why I try to teach you everyone. You need to know your daily charts, even if you are day trading or swing trading. And you could see that how I drew this trend line and how it broke. There's no rocket science. You just need to be ready. So that's how we traded IBM. High confident day 2 setup, swing setup. Let's see how our swing and long-term position does. Hopefully it holds our stops. We have moved our stops to break even there. All right, let's look at the next one there. Next one we want to talk about is Lilly. So let's take a look at Lilly. So Lilly, I talk about Lilly every day. I put it as a number 2, our number 2 day 2 setup. Lilly, bullish bias to long over the previous day close versus previous day close. Short if the pre-market low breaks versus the pre-market lows. Short if it previous pre-market lows breaks or 1 hour MTF target there. So support 1180, 1190 is the resistance. So as soon as I saw that it's pushing, it's swiping higher, I told the traders to long it, and reached 938. I told the traders to long it on this candle right here from 1190s pull back to 1190s. Nothing crazy. We got like a $15 move there, or you could trade a Lilly X as well. You could scalp like 60-70 cents there. But it can do a crazy moves. We had a great trade on Lilly earlier as well. This 1 day, 2 day, and 3 day, all those were pretty nice moves on Lilly. All right, next one I want to recap about Tesla. The golden rule is whenever something is selling off, sometimes it takes 1, 2, 3 days. As long as it's under 34.50 next day, you simply do not try to long it. So what was the plan? Let's look here. High focus play, Tesla. Earnings day 2. Watch amateur move on pop and drops. Right? For the long, we need to hold the previous day close. Watch the flow. Right? So what did we see? How did we do it? Let's take a look here. Let's look at it closely. So when I saw that Tesla started to popping here, right here, actually I told the traders, right, let's look at my transcript, live voice transcript. So I said, it's a day 2 short to watch the pops. Okay, watch Tesla now. Then I saw it's rejecting, so short it, put your stops at that 323, right, this candle right here, 34.50, repeatable setup, get a good entry, watch the pop, short it right there, stops right on the high over there, boom, right? So I told the traders, short, put the stops at 323. Even if you're shorting 321, you have $2 risk. Then you just hold. 314, you just made $8 per share profit. You risk 1,000, you made 8,000. You cover half of your position, leave rest as long as clouds are going. First target I gave was 312. We hit the 312 target by 10:30. Next target I gave was 308, and I said if 308 we are going to 305. You can see all my time-stamped guidance here. We kept moving the stops down, 313, then we moved the stops to 310. So we took this all the way from 320 all the way to 306 before we closed it there. So you could trade TSLL or you could trade anything, but this is how you make good profit in the market using this day 2 strategy on earning plays. Remember 34.50 reject, that tells you it's staying bearish. You short under this pre-market lows, it's a confirmed short there. When you see that 34.50 is rejecting, you short the pops right on that 34.50. The options was pretty good for the traders as well. 310 puts just went from like 60 cents to say like almost 1,000% there. Not 1,000%, sorry, almost 300% from like $2 to $6. So we even traded the same thing yesterday. You can watch the yesterday's video as well. It was a continuous guidance on Tesla on the voice as well. Tesla heavy, short is a no-brainer. Beautiful short. A lot of traders just killed Tesla today. That's how we do it. Our losers are small, our winners are big, and you could see that whole community just killed Tesla, right? Fahad was short Tesla, and Kayat was short Tesla, Munchie, Devon, Spidey, everybody in the community, right? So it was a beautiful trade because you have to focus. You know that it's been a big mover and it's a day 2. Selloff doesn't really, when such a huge sell-offs happen, You have to watch my day 2 day 3 webinar, why I talk about this day 2 day 3 strategy. It's a very good profitable strategy during the earnings season. Make sure you focus on that. So that was a beautiful Tesla home run trade. Let's go to the next one. All right, so next one I'm going to talk about is Intel. Another earning play. I highlighted all the earning plays so that my traders can focus on the top plays. Once you're in the market for a while, you see where to focus on. So Intel, our pre-market game plan was pretty clear on Intel. 100 support, long over 104 is the ideal. Watch the gap fill if it breaks 100. No go if it breaks 100. Cautious under MTF. You see, this was the simple plan. So what did Intel do? Let's take a look here. Everything with the Ripster cloud system. You don't have to guess. See, could not. It already was under the 1 hour MTF clouds. So it's a weak. Once it breaking this level, it was a confirmed short. I told the traders, short it, put the stops at 102. Short 100, short 99 don't really matter. Your stops have to be 102. If you're further from 99, your risk is $900. You take 300 shares. But if you shorted the 300 shares at 99, by the end of the day, you almost made $2,100 because it never really curled the clouds. So I gave the short in the morning, stops at 102, all day fade, or you could have traded the put options. Remember, when market is heavy, the shorts are the way. When market is heavy, longs, yes, IBM was strong, but you see the sector is weak. That's where you focus on. 95 lottos went from $1 to through 30 and then to $3. So Intel was an amazing trade there as well. Intel, INTC, and that was my voice guidance there as well. Intel no long, Intel is a short. You can see that no bounce. Intel short, right? So that was a beautiful trade. Let's look at the loser here. This was a loser, even though it never really was over the clouds, so there was no reason to long. But we also had a swing on it. We were looking to add a swing on it, so we were kind of a little biased on it. Earnings were really good. But we have to respect the system, right? We have to respect the system. When it opened right here, it flushed down. Right, we would have longed over the pre-market lows, but we tried to long a C minus setup. The reason our loser because we longed under the clouds, but we had a clear support here, 80. When I saw the swipe over here, then I told the traders to long MXL. Right here, when I saw the swipe, we saw this long here at 82, 83s. But once it broke the 80s, we were out. Right after that, it was all day short. We had a swing bias on it because it went to 98 and earnings were really good. So we were adding swings. We actually added a swing on the daily chart versus 75, risking 68. It kind of bounced from there. We'll see what it does on Monday. But it was a short. Right, so it was a short. When you exit the short, you watch the pops, you see it's rejecting the pre-market lows, so it's clearly a short setup. It's not a long setup. So whenever we try to, most of my losers, if I ever have them, is when I try to go long under the clouds or anticipate the curl on the clouds. So you see that our loser on the long was clearly under the MTFs, 1 MTF, 2 MTF, 3 MTFs. So this was again one of the MTF short setups. Let's forget the swing for a minute, but it was a successful 1 hour MTF short setup, and that's exactly what we said in the pre-market planning. Bullish wise versus MTF, no go under 80. Clearly mentioned, no go under 80, 70, 50. Once it broke 80, 78, 50, that was it. We were done with it because anything under the pre-market lows is very risky. If the stock is under the pre-market lows, it's very risky. It's you're better wait for it. For any position, especially in swing trading, right? So it only curled end of the day, bounced from that 70 support, but you could see the all day flush. Right, so that's how you have to manage your positions, understand the trend, right? So there were many other setups in the community. It was a beautiful day. This one loser there. We tried to do some midday calls. We got out. BE. We tried to take a long. We lost on it, but we got out right away when it broke. It was a brutal day. BE is in the gap. It was a brutal day for the SAMI names. Any name to take, you could do this a midday short. BE was a midday 512 short. NBS was a midday 512 fade short. We'll talk about Jansen's note a little bit later. AAOI was, looking like a curl. You see, trap the bulls. We got right out when this breaks. We no longer long it. As soon as it breaks that, and it was becoming a short. Right. So you have to understand the trend, right? Follow the clouds. It was a bearish day, heavy day, and a lot of taco news. So we stay away from those AI name longs. Some of the earning names were really good. Verizon was a long winner. I told the traders to watch the pullbacks on Verizon for a long call because it always moves on the earnings. One of our top play earning plays, no go under 43.50, call over the previous day close and MTF. So once it pushed over the MTF, you take a long there and you could take it all the way to 46.40. So that was a beautiful winner. Some earning plays were definitely movers there today. Let's see here. Some earning plays were definitely, they were mover. THC kind of popped initially, BAH, Boozelin. We were just too focused on the market plays, but you could see all these were on our pre-market trade plan we provided. You could trade them. CHTR, we had a bearish bias, but it kind of curled and pushed higher. So earning season is great, guys. Focus on the earning plays, focus on the earnings day 2 plays, master the first 1 hour, 2 hour setups, avoid midday chops, keep losers small, winners big, ride them like if you just had to ride the shorts on Tesla today, right? Or longs on IBM. That was good enough. All right. Have a great weekend, guys. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.